Hello, my name is Jeff Rolka. I want to thank you for checking out my video. This is Questions from Comments 19. A very interesting question came in. I felt that it would be beneficial to address it here in video format, so I am going to do so. I'm going to begin by reading the question for you. And let me say, the individual who asked the question was right on the mark when they said that this could be tricky, because I have thought about this a lot. And it has been challenging to cover the kind of space that I think this question requires. So, can I make a suggestion of something I would really love to see in your videos? As I study singing myself, and I think that many people here do it too, I think it would be really interesting to have a video focused on the important aspects of singing. I mean, not explaining all of them, but just giving an overview of what we should study in order to become better singers, or maybe even giving a guideline of how to study singing daily. What we should focus on, how to progress. That would be really interesting because sometimes when we are studying by ourselves, we don't really have a method. Maybe it would be a tricky video to make. Yes, it has been. Tell me what you think about it. I think it's a great idea and I think many people could benefit from it. There's more to the question, but let me start with a big overview, and then I'm going to give you some specific examples of things to listen for. First and foremost, embrace the question, why? If you listen to yourself sing and something doesn't sound right, ask why. Why does that not sound right? Is it the intonation? Is it that I can't understand what I'm singing? Does it just not sound very good? I do not like the sound of my voice. Why might that be? Now this is where teachers can oftentimes help. That's why people go and get lessons, is so that while they themselves may still be asking why, they can be with an individual who has an objective outside ear and can also look at what's happening, look at the whys, the questions that you might be asking yourselves, and direct that to show you what's going on. Why is the most important thing? Because it will lead you to the resources that will help you to make it better, or at least change it so that it's more to your liking. That is what this entire channel is about providing resources for you to work with your voice. So how do you work with it? It depends a lot on what the answer to the why is. Some experimentation may be required. Generally speaking, in my experience, it boils down to a few key concepts. One I talk about all the time and is the vast majority of the videos on this channel, and that is vowel alignment. This is why most of the exercises here are 5 vowels, E, A, A, O, and U. And if we can align those vowels, then we will, generally speaking, get consistent responses from our voice from range to range to range. Let me show you. If I am here, and FYI, always start these exercises in comfortable areas. Start them where it's easiest for you to sing and ascertain if there are differences in your performance. So if I do an exercise with 3 vowels, and I sing them the way that I would practice them, you'd hope that by now I've got pretty good vowel alignment. But what would it sound like if it wasn't well aligned? It might be like this. And you can hear there's a lot of difference between each of those vowels. Maybe only one of them would be not aligned. There you can hear my A vowel really sounded too much like eh. That's not good alignment. Your vowels will probably be different from my vowels. So you have to listen to the exercises. And I would highly recommend you work your way through the 5 cardinal vowels. they're on the channel. They're in the warm-up videos, which those are technical exercises. Those warm-ups are built to help you achieve certain things. Every single one of them, nearly 1,000 at this point, has a goal. Sometimes it's registration event, sometimes it's working on the ah vowel, sometimes it's some other aspect of our phonation, but they all have their purpose. Listen to the sound of your vowels. Identify discrepancies. Now, vowel alignment goes hand in hand with airflow. The airflow, the way to assess your airflow, there are several, of course, but I would say that there are two pretty good ways to see where you're at. One is, of course, our friend, the lip trill. If you get a start to your lip trill that sounds like this, and then it quickly stops, you're not maintaining the consistency of your airflow. You are not staying expanded through the ribcage and engaged, sufficient to keep the flow of air over the vocal fold. Ergo, then, the lips stop burbling. Of course, you might also get this. Here you can hear that my lips aren't really burbling at all. You can also hear that I'm really gurring with my vowel sound there. I am almost certainly, and I know what I'm doing, but you very likely may be putting too much force on the vocal fold. And so it is slowing the air as it comes out of the esophagus and through the oral cavity and out your body. It could be that you're directing too much air up through your nose as well. There are a lot of ways to do these things incorrectly. The exercises on the channel are meant to help you try to ascertain what's going on and then work with it. But you've got to observe what's happening and then find the video that will help you address it. Now, the lip trill is great when you really get it going, because then what you can start to look at are other areas where it might stop on you. Here it stopped after I got halfway through. This is almost always what happens when an individual isn't staying engaged on the descending scale. In other words, they're thinking about lifting and engaging on the ascending scale, but once they turn around, they're just trying to float down to the tonic or something like that. The voice doesn't really work that well that way. You have to keep singing all the way to the tonic. Equally, as you get into registration event practice, going over registration events in your voice, you'll hear similar kinds of things where the lip trill will cease to burble away, or you'll hear a dramatic change in the way that the voice sounds. Here's A, and now I'm singing up to my secondo passaggio, just so we're all on the same page here. Now listen to this. There you could hear that my voice had a distinctive change of color, and my lips started to go really fast. That is what happens when the vocal folds separate at a registration event. We are not maintaining the closure or adduction of the vocal fold. That needs to be addressed in order to get the lip trill to respond well in that exercise. Now, thankfully, the lip trill is usually pretty good at helping us work on that. But there are other airflow exercises that are very valuable for this too. I know that when you've been singing for a while, no one wants to go into the beginner playlist. But if you're new to vocal instruction, or you're having problems with these things, it's not that they're just for new vocalists. They are fundamental technical concepts, and I put them as beginner exercises because generally speaking, they're things that we start with first. But that doesn't mean we necessarily outgrow them forever. And so be not too proud to go into that playlist and look at some of the dynamic airflow exercises. What am I talking about? We. Yes, you will find those in some of the standard warm-ups and the full range warm-ups and things like that in the warm-up playlists. However, In the beginner playlist, they will be in a very narrow range. And this means that we don't have to worry about registration events. We don't have to worry about a lot of other aspects of how we use our voice. And it makes it easier to focus on one thing. And in this case, I'm talking about airflow, and I'm talking about dynamic air pressure exercises, where the airflow starts, and there is a pause, if you will. But here's the thing. If you're having trouble sustaining airflow throughout a phrase, like we showed earlier with the lip trill, and you're hearing those kinds of symptoms in the phrases of your song, check in on your dynamic air pressure exercises and make sure that you're staying expanded and engaged in between the articulations. So it's not we and I collapse, we and I try to somehow get engaged for the next one. No, we stay engaged, we, and expanded, we. And the articulations, the individual articulations are merest pulses that then release the pitch out. And if you want to take it up a notch, you can use those same beginner exercises, switch it to a he, and take a breath in between. That's a really, really great way to work on the coordination of the flow of air and the way that the vocal fold adducts, but also to test yourself to maintain that expansion of the ribcage and engagement of the core body muscles throughout the duration of every key area. So this is one key, and now I'm onto a new key, and I'm maintaining my engagement at all times, only disengaging what I must, a very small amount of the overall engagement, in order to take those short little top-up breaths. Now I feel like I could keep on going. I mean, I haven't even talked about upper register practice, and that could be its own thing in its entirety. But the fact of the matter is that if you continue to ask yourself the question why, and you look at alignment and airflow, then you can, just as you would assess difficulties in the thyroarytenoid dominant singing voice or chest voice, you can as well evaluate and perhaps diagnose what is challenging you in the registration event practice of your singing practice. That being said, the thing about registration events is that so many things are happening all at the same time. There are a lot of dynamic elements. So isolating each of the elements will be very, very helpful in trying to determine what is holding you back. For example, I talked about vowel alignment. I talked about airflow. If we're going to talk about registration event practice, then we also need to talk about vowel modifications and the dynamic nature of airflow and subglottic air pressure increasing on the ascending scale, and how to not release too much on the descending scale. In other words, maintaining most of that additional subglottic air pressure on the descending scale rather than disengaging too much of it such that we kind of fall down into the tonic of our scales. Those are just some of the challenges, assuming you can in fact access your cricothyroid dominant singing voice reliably. If you cannot do that, then there are other practices that you have to get into play. As I said when I got started, this is a tricky topic. It is very, very broad, but in the biggest, most simplest terms that I can think of, ask yourself the question why, observe carefully, and find the resources that will help you to keep moving forward. That might just be a video. It might be that you need some reliable way to record yourself so that you can evaluate your singing more effectively after you're singing, as opposed to doing it in real time while you're doing the exercises. Part of this may be that you need to get a consultation or a lesson with someone that can help get you started. And then from there, you'll be able to find your path. It does come down to the individual. I do hope this helps. Great question. Love questions like this. If you've got follow-ups to this question, please leave them in the comments here or find me on Twitter, although admittedly I'm using Twitter less and less. I have now got a Discord group going, so if you want to get involved with that, you can get a link. I guess send me a note through my website and we can work all that out. There are ways to support this channel. Those are in the description. And of course, if you haven't yet subscribed, I hope that you'll do so now. Thank you so very much for watching. My name is Jeff. Take really good care of your voices, enjoy singing, and hopefully we will see you again. Bye.